We were talking on the way here. This would have been a cool Halloween episode.
Yeah, would have actually.
Friday the 13th? September. Is that September? Yeah.
Pull up in a hearse and the body in the back.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun. Okay. Thanks for tuning in to the Redacted Podcast. I'm Matt Bender. Behind the scenes there, we have our producer, Pamela, who's been sworn to secrecy. She's running all the controls, making me look good as I can and sound good. And then we have our guest here today. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Our guest today, so this one's a little weird for me. And I'm so curious about it, but I was kind of, if I'm being honest, dreading doing this. And I'm sure a lot of people are the same way. It's like one of those things that's inevitable. Everyone's going to meet you at some point. Everyone meets you, right?
Yes.
You don't get out of this. I mean, I guess you could sink on a ship or something. But everyone pretty much is going to meet you at some point in their life. But we don't want to think about that, do we?
No.
It's a morbid, weird thought. And you do, what is it that you do?
I'm a funeral director.
Funeral director now?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been doing that?
I got in the business in 1986 as in high school. And I went to mortuary school in 1993 and 94 in Dallas, Texas.
You've been in the funeral mortuary business. Man, what's it? 40 years almost.
Yeah. Yes.
Holy cow. You've seen some things.
Oh, yes. Yes.
What got you into that? Because you were a young man then.
Yeah, I was like 16 years old.
Oh my God.
I kind of got into this as thinking to be it actually paid the most as a kid. Like back when those days, like minimum wage was $3.50. My friends worked at Wendy's and the funeral was saying $5 an hour. So I went and worked there. And I just thought it was kind of just something different to be a different job. I get to wear a suit to work every day and,
It's not a bad gig then.
Yeah,
you get to wear a suit to work, be clean, and you make a little bit more.
Yes, exactly.
You're not working out in the heat.
No.
You're not getting dirty all day.
No, just pretty much driving a hearse around and answering the phones up front on the nights and doing night visitations.
Wow. So, 40 years you've almost been doing it. And, I mean, even now, we can talk about that, but is that a good industry for young people to get in? It seems like maybe it's something a lot of people don't want to do, so it pays more.
Yeah, it's a good industry to get into because a lot of people can't just handle the, people upset and just
bodies, morbidity.
Yeah, stuff like exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good business. Everybody who gets out of the mortuary school has a job pretty much instantly because funeral homes are posting at the school. They have openings for jobs. So it's pretty much, if you graduate, you're going to have a job somewhere.
So if you were a young man or a woman and, the thought of that kind of thing didn't bother you, it's probably not a bad career.
No, not at all. No.
Yeah. And it didn't bother you, obviously.
Oh, no, not at all.
And you've never kind of had second thoughts. And it needs to be done. That's the other weird thing. Like we like to shelter ourselves from it.
Exactly.
But it needs to be done.
Yes.
Like somebody has to do it.
Exactly.
That's the dirty work we don't want to see.
Exactly.
So we're willing to pay for it. And I think that maybe even is kind of a symptom of modern times because funerals or these kind of things or bodies used to be handled by the family. If you're talking about small villages, go back before the 19th century.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes.
I mean, that wasn't a business.
No.
No. It was handled by the local people, the family.
Yes.
They would take care of that.
Yeah, exactly.
But now we've kind of just kind of contracted that out.
Yeah,
so much.
exactly.
Yeah. If you could, and this is something I don't really understand. I mean, all of us have probably been through some kind of, us normal people that don't work in the industry, us laymen's, we kind of understand maybe the process a little bit, but how does it really work? So, grandma, grandpa dies at the hospital, most likely, right? They're going to a hospital, or maybe they're found in their home or something like that, or what do you call it? Assisted cares, or the, what's the one where they...
ALF, assisted livings.
Yeah. Something like that. What happens? You get a call.
Okay.
Is what? That's the step. So you got to come retrieve the body.
Yes. Actually, these days, if your grandmother died tomorrow at 3 a.m. in the morning at the hospital, basically, most hospitals here in this area would transport you to the morgue, and they call the funeral home to come make the removal. But now most funeral homes have removal services, do the removals. Like in the old days, they actually went up and did the removals themselves. Now they have removal services contracted out. So after the removal was done from the funeral home, you're probably going to the funeral home's refrigeration unit and stay there the night. And next morning, the family probably come in the next day. The
refrigeration unit, what's is that, like a big walk-in cooler?
Yeah, a big, huge walk-in cooler, drippy down on the sides,
Yeah.
Cold, just like a big meat fridge, actually.
Like something you'd see at a restaurant.
Yeah. It's like 38 degrees, somewhere in there. It's really cold.
38 degrees. And then are you just on a rack, or?
Yeah, you're on your stretcher, or they have like racks, almost like bookshelves, where they put you on the racks, and they're, and they can't do any process past then until they have the family come in and see what they want to do with the body. If they want your grandma to be cremated or embalmed. And
if they cremate, they don't embalm, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yes. There's been situations where the person, they want the body to have visitation, so it's embalmed and then cremated, but usually it's not cremated, just in certain situations.
Okay.
Then the next day the family comes in, and if there's a pre-need or at-need, like the pre-need means it's already paid for, the funeral's been paid for beforehand.
Okay.
And there's no money, but there's an at-need means, the person died, they had no pre-need. So they have to...
What's that word you're saying? Maybe I'm not understanding.
Pre-need?
Pre-need? Yeah,
pre-need's like you go to the funeral home, like me, I'm 55 years old, I go to the funeral home today and talk to a funeral director about paying in advance, make payments on my funeral when I die 30 years down the line.
Okay.
So it's a pre-need contract. And you could actually go in and say you pick out your own casket, and,
And this is to not be a burden.
Yes, it's not to be a burden on your family.
That's the idea. I mean,
yes,
obviously,
exactly.
It's like, okay, it's already taken care of.
Yes.
I've got everything set up. All you got to do is sign the papers and show up.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much, exactly. Okay. And then go to the cemetery and pick a cemetery plotter, unless you're getting cremated.
Okay.
And then you're a veteran, of course, you go to the veteran cemetery, and veterans are, get free burial.
Okay.
But not a free funeral, just a free burial.
Okay. So they're going to give me a hole in the ground for free.
Yeah. You and your wife or spouse or significant other. Yeah.
Perfect.
And I'm known as the funeral home at the National Cemetery, they're actually buried too deep. So the first person dies goes in first, and the second person goes on top.
That's a veteran cemetery.
Yeah, a veteran cemetery. There is some like that around this area too. But veteran cemeteries are always like you're stacked on top of each other. So people don't realize that.
And I mean, I guess that brings me to, it just made me think of something. We're in Florida.
Yes.
How the hell low is the water table?
It's low. I mean, that's some stories I was going to get to about, most of the places around here, when they're burying a body, they put the vault in first, the vault, then the casket.
The vault's concrete.
Yeah, the vault's concrete.
Like a concrete cast thing.
Like a liner for the casket.
Okay.
And around here, like, you dig more than 4 feet, it fills full of water. So usually the cemetery workers are sitting there with a vacuum sucking the water out of the,
geez.
you know, and
when
then
they're digging it.
yeah. And most people don't realize that a lot of times when they're burying the body, they want the family to stand back because the water just keeps filling and filling. And usually they're putting the casket down in the water, not deep, but maybe a foot of water.
Jeez.
Yeah. Cause this keeps, just filling and filling up.
Yeah. In Florida, other places you're probably.
Yeah. Like Texas, I've seen, and when I was in Texas, I remember them have them dynamite, like, the dig chisel and,
bedrock.
Yeah. Like Austin and granite. Yes.
Wow. So just going back, so that the family decides and then you're embalming or
cremation. If the family decides to have the body embalmed, probably the next day, the body will go to the prep room, be embalmed. You have the family, go home, pick up some clothes for the body to, bring back maybe that next day. Have arrange a funeral like 2 or 3 days down the line. Like if they're Catholic, so they're gonna have a Catholic service at the Catholic church, and that's arranged out with the priest, and the time they can have a service. But pretty much then, family brings back after their body's embalmed, the family brings the clothing back. Pretty much, dress the body.
Yeah.
They have the casket picked out. You put the body in a casket, and then usually most people are in the back in the prep room like another couple of days for because usually people aren't dying, and the funeral's only like 3 or 4 days later. So you're gonna be back in the prep room for at least 3 or 4 days usually.
Is that the cooler or?
If they're embalmed, they are out of the cooler. But if they're
if they're embalmed, they're stable.
Yeah, they're stable. They're good for 3 or 4 days. I mean, they do hard embalmings or soft embalmings, like harder, like during the winter, like up north. If you're dying in Florida and you're going to be buried in New Hampshire, they got to hold the body somewhere for a while until the snow goes away, so they bury it. So there's like, we have bodies held.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, their bodies are held embalmed in the refrigeration unit for maybe 2 or 3 months until the snow goes away up in New Hampshire, Vermont.
If the ground's frozen.
Yeah, so they have to hold it. They hold it here until they can fly the body up there to be.
Don't die in the winter.
Yeah, exactly.
Up north.
Yeah.
Oi.
Because the funeral homes there don't have enough room to hold, that many bodies. They probably have 5 or 6, but not, over 3 or 4 months, you're building up you're backing up. I guess the word would be.
You're overflowing.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Oh, wow. And that's in funeral homes up north.
Yes, funeral homes northeast mostly.
Florida, we're fine.
Yeah, Florida. Yeah, we're
Texas,
we're good in Texas.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy to think about too.
Yeah, I mean, just think you die in December 5th, and then you can't be buried till maybe April. If you're buried in New Hampshire.
I feel like every funeral I've been in is like spring or summer. Nobody dies in the winter. So I'm originally from Chicago.
Oh yeah. Well, the winter down here is different because they get the snowbirds and it's more busy. Here we have a season because during the season we have way more funerals during the season because more people are down here dying. Yeah. So it's busy in the winter, more busy in the winter.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, we get a huge population of older people, retired folks.
Yeah.
Things like that. So and that's probably a lot of transport. So sometimes, you're, maybe you're flying a body back.
Yeah. We, have a, ship out container. The body goes in after embalmed, goes in ship out container, take it to like Delta Cargo or JetBlue Cargo. And then they, ship it up north.
So it goes on a passenger plane.
Yeah, passenger plane.
In the belly of a passenger.
Yeah, plane. And it's always on first and off last because I picked up bodies literally off of planes like before.
Why is it on first and off last?
I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. I don't. They always put them on first and take them off last.
Maybe. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. Sorry. I don't.
So they're and is that an embalmed body?
Yes.
Okay. So that's embalmed. So you're embalming it and prepping it here.
Yes.
And then you're putting it on a plane and maybe they're going to have their services and burial up somewhere else.
Yes. Or also in situations like, especially in Florida, a lot of times you have like somebody, say you're going back to Chicago and you grew up in a neighborhood here. So you might have a visitation one night here in your casket. And then the next morning, we'll put you in a ship out container in the casket and then ship you up Chicago, and you have another service there and then buried.
Okay.
So sometimes you might have two services, your southern and your northern service.
That's strange. I've never heard of that, but I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, maybe, it's for your, neighborhood people.
Yeah, if you had friends and stuff.
It's like a visitation the night before, maybe from 5 to 8 o'clock at night. Then next morning you head up to Chicago.
Heading on a plane.
Yeah.
Man. So then, you have the services and everyone kind of knows how that goes. And then they either do the burial or it gets sent out to cremation, right?
Yes.
Okay. And there's there's central crematoriums from what I understand.
Yes, sir.
So the funeral homes, I think, some of them probably used to do that.
Yeah. Like the funeral home I worked at, two of them I worked at in this area. They both have, one has one crematorium and one has two. So they have their own crematoriums. Yes.
Okay. So some of them do.
Yeah. But, you have to wait till the death certificate is signed by a doctor. You can't just cremate a body without a death certificate signed in case there's any foul play or anything, just in case.
Can you bury a body without signed?
Oh, no. You have to have a doctor or the medical examiner sign a death certificate. Okay. There's a third option you can have also. I was just thought about is donating your body to science and then your cadaver.
Oh, yeah.
And then in Florida, you're taking to Gainesville, Orlando, or University of Miami. So I've done that, taken bodies up to the Science Center.
So you can have your service, get embalmed.
Yes.
And then you're donated.
Yeah, just your cadaver. Then you're pretty much a Jane Doe or John Doe after you arrive at the college.
They remove all the names. And
nothing. You're just no more name ever again after that.
Wow.
There's a weight limit also. You can't be over 240 pounds, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but.
That's such a weird thought.
Yes.
Well, we're still on Earth here living.
Yes.
To have to think about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's so GB. It makes me GB.
Yeah.
But necessary. I think it's
exactly. It's nice to donate your body to science, and you have kids going to college to be a doctor, your cadaver. And
it's necessary once again.
Yeah.
That's necessary. Your whole industry is necessary, but 99% of us don't have any involvement in it.
No, not at all.
All customers.
All customers, yes.
My grandpa used to say people are dying today that never died before. It was like one of his little quips that he would say.
Yeah. The first place I worked, we used to go to the bank with the funeral director that owned the funeral home. We go to the bank and the banker would say, "How's the business?" He goes, "It's not too good today, but I got a couple prospects," as a little joke. But, yeah.
It's a good one. Like it. So in this industry, and we talked a little before the interview, what are maybe some of the things or disturbing things or kind of below board things that people don't know about that they should, like the secrets of the industry? What would you say some of those are? I'll pose one question to start. When somebody gets cremated, is that actually their ashes?
Yes, it is. But actually the crematorium, the retort, when after you're cremated and you're just they have to, you're just like bones, like brittle bones, and you're put in a processor, and processor is it like a roller crusher that crushes your bones?
So you're not completely burned to ash.
No, you're kind of once you're in the retort, they get a big scraper and they scrape your ashes all in the middle of the crematorium in the retort. And then does
it look like a brick oven pizza?
Yeah, it is. Exactly. Exact same bricks as a brick oven pizza does. Yeah, exactly. And it is. And then I've seen those people, those bricks fall, the break, and they just put them in there with the ashes. But actually you're not, when you're cremated, you're brought out to a box and then you're put in a processor, and the processor is like this grinding machine that kind of grinds you through this a cheese shredder thing, and then your ashes go through to another box below that. You know what I'm saying? It kind of,
you get the fine powder.
Yeah, the fine powder. But then the crematorium isn't exactly, they don't clean it 100%, so there could be 1% of somebody else in that corner.
But it's mostly.
Yeah, it is you. Yeah, because when you're died, they put this little silver coin tab with a number on it, a serial number. They put it with you on the body, so when it comes out, it's still like that silver number on like a dog tag type thing, actually.
Yeah.
So they know it's the same person. It's all documented pretty well.
Okay. And then, I mean, they give you like the Chinese food box.
Yeah,
it's like a little,
until
like a takeout box.
Yeah, it's like a black box. Until unless you buy an urn from the funeral home, then you're transported to that urn.
Is there extra?
No, there's never extra, but there's never
Okay.
extra. No, never extra.
So you're not wasting any of it.
No,
You're getting 100% of it in that box.
Yeah.
No matter how big or small.
Yeah, you're getting it all back. And people don't realize the crematorium is like 1,600 degrees, 1,600, 1,700 degrees to cremate a body.
How long does that take?
Person like, like, let's say a person like 180 pounds, probably takes 2 hours. It's like,
wow.
Yeah, about 2 hours.
It's longer than I would have thought.
Yeah, because it's a process.
Is that expensive? It's like a lot of gas or something.
Yeah.
Are they gas fired?
Yeah, they're all gas fired. Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what other kind of? I mean, like I didn't know about the bone crusher. That's kind of
the processor.
that's morbid.
It's just like
I thought it just burned it.
Oh, yeah, it's just like a pile of like bones, but it's brittle. And then you just put them in that.
Yeah.
And it processes down at that.
Yeah.
Looks like cat litter. It's like that, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, what are some other things that are kind of?
Like
maybe people wouldn't know about or expect.
Probably like in Florida, like you're supposed to be put in refrigeration within 24 hours. I mean, like within the time you die.
Yeah.
I've seen funeral homes when they're real busy, just leave bodies in the prep room without being put in the, they have no room in the refrigerator. So leave bodies out in the prep room unembalmed and, go not be in the refrigerator. But it's technically in Florida, most states it's 24 hours. You have to be refrigerated. And I don't know, like just, I've seen disrespect for bodies, you're laying there and people making fun of people's bodies and stuff like that. I mean,
tell me about that.
Making fun of, like men's penis size, stuff like that, Or, oh my God,
that's my worst fear.
Yeah.
As I die, they're going to laugh at my wiener.
Yeah. I mean, I said this joke when I came in, I saw a guy with a big schlong and be, oh, I always say, his wife's going to miss him. And then, like that's all I'd say. But if some guy had a little piece, so he's like, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff with them. I don't know, like saying they dress, like sometimes like, say there's a closed casket.
Yeah.
And they say they bring the clothes to dress the body. And I've seen people just put the clothes, like lay them on the body, not like dress them, just kind of lay the pants on them and then shirt on them and don't actually dress them. And like you have decomps and stuff, you can't dress. You just got to put the clothes on top of the body bag, stuff like that. Or,
what does that mean? A decomp?
Yeah, decomp, like person that's like, especially in Florida, they haven't been found for after 3 or 4 days, you start decomposing pretty bad, gaseous and turning purple and skin
so
slippage.
If someone died in their home and nobody knew about it.
Yeah, they'd go to the medical examiner first and then make sure there's no foul play, and then we have to pick up the body from the medical examiner's office.
And then that's going to be closed casket. Probably.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. We have incidents, though, where people, like, somebody like it burned in a fire really bad, and the mom wanted to have to absolutely see the body. Like they just demanded to see the body, and you want to think about your son's last time you see your son, burnt.
Yeah.
And they have to sign a paperwork so they won't sue the funeral home for like
showing them.
Yeah, like they can, but they have to sign some. So there's no liability with the funeral home, like
if you have PTSD and nightmares,
stuff like that. So they cover themselves. We have times before where people are really bad in car wrecks. They look bad, and sometimes we just cover them up with a sheet and just let the family hold their hand for one last time without seeing them. There's things you can get around, kind of come to a certain point with people where.
I didn't think about all that.
Yeah.
Like,
and there was restorative art too. When you went to mortuary school, there's restorative art where like wax work, or learn to, like somebody shoots herself in the head and, do wax work.
Yeah.
Silk.
Like makeup and.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wax work.
Yeah. A lot of wax.
Is that used? Actual, like what you'd use for Halloween costumes.
Yeah. But it's like wax putty. It's kind of, people I've seen people make ears and all kinds of stuff, mostly for car wrecks or somebody shot themselves, not in the mouth, but, in the head, like just cover up the,
a
lot of makeup. It's all smoke and mirrors kind of thing. It's all smoke and mirrors, I think.
Man. people actually like, I mean, I can imagine, but that'd be a hard decision. Like, do you want an open casket if you have something like a head wound from shooting themselves or a car accident?
Oh, yeah.
It's like
yeah.
they have to trust you a lot.
Yeah.
Because you ask them, right? You receive the body, and then you're like, okay, do you want an open casket or a closed casket?
Yeah.
And then they pick open. There's a lot of trust there.
Yeah.
That they're not going to look, it's not going to be more horrifying. Because if you mess that up,
yeah,
I feel like that's horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like
exactly.
if it just looks like some Frankenstein stitched together Mr. Potato Head.
Yes.
Like they're going to be very upset with you. Has that happened?
Yeah. There's been situations also where somebody dies in a car wreck, and before you make removal, we call the medical examiner, because the family wants to know, is the body viewable or not? You'll call the medical examiner, and they'll say, yeah, he's viewable. Then you'll get it, and he's not viewable at all. But you already told the family the body's viewable. You know what I'm saying? So you're kind of...
So you're not...
Yeah, that's happened a bunch of times. So you... yeah, don't ever trust, like, anybody's opinion on it unless you go actually see the body yourself.
You're talking from your perspective.
Yeah, because...
whether or not it's viewable.
Yeah, because medical examiners see so much stuff, they're like, oh, that's viewable. But they're busy, too. They just, like... Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they probably, maybe they're right 95% of the time.
Yeah, 95%. But that one time, the family's upset. You already told them it's viewable.
Yeah. Now you got to work at it.
Yeah.
So, in all your time doing this, I'm sure, you're doing special effects kind of makeup almost and recreations. There has to be a lot of people that were kind of like unhappy.
Oh, yeah.
It's not what they expected.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
It's always the women, the hair is always wrong, or their lipstick's too red. They say their mom was like a whore, they just freak out. And a lot of people, when they're in a hospital care for 2 or 3 weeks, they kind of get watery, kind of, face kind of blows up a little bit from, all the liquid they're on and the medication. And they always want them to look like they did, like 10, 20 years ago. And he just looked nothing like he did. And this is terrible. And, get really pissed off at us. And we just want a closed casket now. But it's like it was the hospital that, the fluids are on and built up their face, puffed up their face. And yeah.
So it's mostly like that kind of stuff. But is there ever like you try to remake an ear and it like fell off?
We've had stuff like that. Well, I know some happened a couple of times.
Or somebody looked at it and they're like, I could still see the bullet hole or the burn or whatever.
They always want to like touch go behind the head and touch behind the head with their hand. And sometimes we'll put plastic on the pillow where they can't see it, just on the back of the head. So in case it does leak. But
you're talking about the family wants to touch
just like them. People are always curious. They want to like look for the, where the person was embalmed, and they want to pull down their shirt and stuff like that.
Are you talking in like the family viewing?
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's like a family viewing.
Yeah, usually the family comes in first. So usually
like immediate family, close
first,
people.
make sure everything's okay, and they can have their, or they call it the short one's called a peep and weep, like peep and weep, and then get the
peep and
yeah, that's what it's called.
God. You don't tell that to the customers.
Peep and weep.
Unless they're cool.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, do you want the peep and weep?
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, back in I feel like I'm old now, but like in the 80s, we used to have those smelling salts. So you pop them and put them there, because we had a lot of people pass out or fake pass out, like, fake pass, just drama queen type people that want to make a scene.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of passing out and fake pass out. Yeah. But there's been a bunch of botched. I've seen purgings when like, after you aspirate the body, like I've seen like people in the casket and like a little bit of purge comes out of their mouth. It was like kind of looks like coffee.
During the service or something.
Yeah, because it's just like especially in hot weather, little coffee comes out of the lip and you can see it. I've seen people the director go up and rub his elbow on it with his so the family doesn't see.
God. Yeah. So the director went up and cleaned the schmutz.
Well, it's kind of like with his elbow, real like real slick in front of the family, like put his elbow. Yeah, the schmutz exactly.
It's a dirty business. It's a dirty job.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a dirty job.
Yeah.
And, something like that. The director's trying to give dignity
Yes.
to the situation.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of the purpose, is to give dignity to this very uncomfortable, very sad situation.
Yeah. Now, another thing is sometimes after like 2 or 3 days, like a flight, say you're in Florida 4 days, and then you fly to Chicago.
Yeah.
By the 5th or 6th day, you're getting a little ripe in the casket. You open that casket up and, you're having a visitation. You can kind of put a little osium on the body. Or they have a thing with like this, it's almost like a sawdust. It's like a potpourri sawdust we put in the bottom of the casket, like under the casket, like under the bed of the casket so the family won't smell the body. Because after, 3 or 4 days, even a good embalming, you're going to get starting to turn.
Yeah. I mean, see, this, once again, gives me the jeebs. It does. You're used to this. My listeners, they're not. I'm not.
Yeah.
But I think the big part of this is real. I mean,
Yes.
How else would you want it done?
Exactly.
What else are we supposed to do? There's an element to that.
Yes.
Of like, yeah, I mean, this is the way it is. This is the bare cold truth.
Yes.
Of it is bodies decompose.
Yes.
And they stink.
Yes.
And we're trying to make this as good of an experience for you as possible.
Yeah.
And that's kind of.
Also, we have disinterments before, where people want to be like they die in Florida, and all of a sudden they want to be buried in Chicago with their family. And we've had disinterments for after 1 month they died, 5 years after they died. Like those are pretty gory.
You pull them up.
Yeah, disinterment. We usually do it after hours, and in Florida it's usually a casket full of water and soupy mess.
Do you open it?
No, but sometimes the caskets are leaking and.
The casket still survived.
Yeah. Some of those caskets, there's non-sealer caskets, and like the cheaper caskets are non-sealers, and they're like the refrigerator seal on the side. There's seal caskets and there's non-sealers, and non-sealers get water in them automatically. The lower end caskets.
So buy a sealer casket.
Yeah, buy a seal casket. Yeah, spend the money for grandma. Yes.
Is it So the thing they're in at the funeral, at the wake, I guess you'd call it, right? Is that what they get buried?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I've heard sometimes that changes.
Can you explain?
I don't know. There's sometimes they'll have a casket to just be in for the viewing, and then they'll be buried in a different one. Or am I making shit up?
Oh no. There's been there's rental caskets for people are getting cremated. We have a rental casket. We use
maybe
it's just an oak casket, and you actually put the body in there for a viewing, and then you take it out and cremate it later. But I've seen people move from caskets a couple of times, but not very often.
Okay.
Unless it's a cremation casket, yeah.
Maybe I just made that up. I don't know. Could have been.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
What are some other little weird things people might not know about, or maybe secrets, or just what's something disturbing you've seen? Put it that way. Like something just where you're like, oh, come on. What the fuck? Like it just eats at your conscience a little.
Yeah, man, there's a lot.
Oh shit. Can of worms.
Yeah.
What's the most disturbing thing that you've either seen something happen or somebody else do where you're like, what the fuck? That's horrible.
Yeah. I mean,
because it's a dirty industry.
Yeah,
I mean, it is. It's a dirty job. I'm not saying the industry is bad, but it's a dirty job, and there's bound to be in 30 years, 40 years, there's bound to be some of that shit.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people when the people die, sometimes I see them keep pooping. Like when they die, they just, they're on that liquid diet. So it keeps, That's how I got one time there's it's like a web roll, they call it. It's like almost cotton, but it's a roll of cotton. It's a roll of cotton, and it's called web roll. and he kept pooping, and the guy just like got a bunch of web roll, put up the guy's ass, and got like a broom and like kind of shoved it up there so he quit pooping everywhere.
Oh, God.
And I've seen like big women with like big fat women with big boobs, and they hang off the side. And I've seen a couple of directors like just put the boobs together and just like get a it's called baseball stitch when you sew the baseball stitching. He's gonna just sew her boobs together, literally just sew them together so they'll stay up.
That's for dignity, I suppose,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I guess, but it's
Like the family doesn't want to know how it happens, but they don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't just have
Yeah.
flopped off the side of the can.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen stuff like that.
I mean, people are laying there just naked.
Oh, yeah.
And just exposed. Like, that's, once again, horrifying, I think, to some people. Maybe not everyone, but maybe a lot of people. And like, what the fuck? There's got to be weird shit that happens.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. There's a lot. When we were real busy, I've seen people put two bodies on one table, like the slim person, two thin people, like on one table, just because we had no room to put bodies.
Yeah.
Put bodies up on the top of cabinets because we had no room on the tables.
Jeez.
Yeah, when it's really, really busy in the things like that, it's pretty undignified. But bodies, like I think illegally in Florida, you have to be 2 feet off the floor. I've seen just bodies like we're in a room and this bodies are in stretchers, but on the low down stretchers, like all the way on the bottom, just storing them on stretchers.
Like busy season.
Yeah, busy season.
Snowbird season.
Yeah, snowbird season here.
So
yeah,
don't
really
die
bad.
during snowbird season.
No, die in July.
Die in July.
Yeah, that should be on a bumper sticker. Yeah, die in July.
It rhymes. Yeah, why not? Right?
That. Yeah,
die in July and don't die in December in Maine.
Yeah,
don't do that either.
Yeah, you're gonna be stuck a
just
while.
be sitting around.
Also, like the longest person we ever had like sit was for another reason. This guy wanted to be at the National Cemetery, the one in Virginia, the big one. Arlington, sorry.
Yeah.
And it's if you can get in there, you had to wait a long time. And this guy we had him for like 11 months because it's like takes so long to get in Arlington. It's like backed up. Yeah. So we had him in the refrigerator for like 11 months before he got buried in Arlington. Yes.
So does the family go to that then?
Oh yeah, they'll go to Arlington. Yeah, I've been there just to see it, but I've never been to a funeral in Arlington. But yeah,
that seems strange. Like somebody dies, and then 11 months later, you gotta put the black stuff back on again, and
yeah.
And do they call you like, hey, is he cool?
Yeah, they call, but he's fine. He'll be fine.
He's in the refrigerator embalmed.
Yeah, he's hard as a rock.
Man, that's such a weird thought.
Yeah.
And then for you guys, like, okay, I mean, this is what I'm picturing. I'm picturing like you have the funeral home and the nice rooms with the nice furniture, and it looks like something out of, Buckingham Palace, and it's all like everything's like 20 years out of date.
Exactly.
Floral stuff, and you picture that, and then you have like the cold room, the embalming area, the prep area, and that looks
sterile.
Like a kitchen.
Yeah, all sterile and cement. Yeah, so.
Is it kind of like a kitchen?
Yeah, it's like a kitchen.
Commercial kitchen, like stainless steel.
Bombing
floor drains.
Well, some of the floor drains are actually the caskets are tilted into like a men's urinal. It's like the men's urinal.
Yeah.
And that's where they just flush everything right down the urinal. Like all the blood after the embalming and yeah.
So when they're embalming, what I understand about embalming, and I got this actually from another guest that we had that was talking about it, but you're pushing the fluid in and then the blood comes out.
Yeah. Basically you're a basic person, you're cutting you're injecting the carotid artery and the blood's coming out of the jugular vein. So you're pushing.
So right up here.
Yeah. Right on the clavicle. You're pushing collarbone. You're pressuring fluid into the carotid artery and it's pushing it out of the jugular vein. So, you said the flow of blood coming over your neck, you're laying down. Yeah. But if you're really hard to embalm, you have to raise the femoral arteries in your legs and embalm through your legs also.
Isn't that by your groin? By your groin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
By your femur bones and your femoral arteries, but yes, by your, Sometimes if you're just people that aren't embalming, sometimes you got to do 4 posts. So you got to embalm both sides, on both sides and both femorals. That's like heavy set people or people with really bad clogged arteries. People died of heart attacks and they just have bad clogged arteries.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you do that. You do that. Is that step 1 to prep?
Yeah. Step 1 to prep.
You get a body. That's step 1.
Yeah. Pretty much put on the table, set their features, like, close. You put the eye caps in their eyes, close their mouth. There's 2 different ways to close their mouth. You have a mouthpiece and use wires, and you shoot the wires in their gum line, and then you twist the wires in the gum line almost like a bread tie to their mouth shuts.
Yeah.
There's another way. In old days, it's like you go through the mandible with the needle, and then you come up through the bottom of the mouth and sew their mouth shut like that. But that's the first thing you set their features. Then you embalm.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't want them set. And then we shave them if they're a man. Some women too shave them, and you know it is. And then you have to when you get done.
Does your hair grow after you die?
They say they do. I never not.
You never noticed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And when you're done, after you're done with the embalming, you have to aspirate the body, and you have to get a trocar, and you stick 2 inches above their belly button. It's a big long rod, and it's as a suction thing, and you're sucking all this trocar. It's a big long rod, probably 3 feet long, and it's hooked to a suction device, and it kind of sucks all the gases and the shit out of your bowels. So
like your stomach?
Yeah.
Like pumping your stomach?
Yeah. But unless you go to like I was saying, when you donate your body to science, they embalm you, but they don't do the trocar because they'll destroy all your, your
organs.
Sorry. Yes.
Jeez. Mm-hmm. Like the first time you had to do that.
Yeah. The first time I saw
weird.
it. Yeah. The first time I actually saw it was 16, and
You're 16, geez.
Well, I didn't do it, but the embalmer had the big long rod trocar. He goes, I'm about to do this, and you got the bulb and you go 2 inches up and over, and you stick it in there, and you're just sucking all the gases and crap out of so you don't bloat back up, pretty much.
Once again, it all makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's a dirty job that needs to be done, but at 16, you see that. Are you
yeah.
Were you what the fuck?
Yeah, you're what the hell? Then fingernails and, clip the nail, stuff like that. Small things also.
So all that's involved in that. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's crazy. What else? What other kind of weird stuff might not people understand, or what other kind of, I don't know. It's hard for you because you've worked in the industry. So it's hard for you to know what would disturb or maybe make us curious.
Yeah. Like most people think the body, when it's removed, as I was saying, is taken straight to the funeral home. But most funeral homes have a temporal prep, and most families don't realize that your mom or dad is not at the actual funeral home, at a prep room, maybe 10 miles away, maybe 20 miles away, getting prepped there. So you don't understand that your body's not going straight to the funeral home. Might be going to a prep room for a couple of days, not the actual funeral home you called. Because there's actually a couple in this area. There's a couple embalming services. They're just big warehouses, and all they do is embalm for funeral homes.
Yeah.
They dress them if they want them dressed, and they do removals also. Because it's totally different now. When I was younger in the late 80s, if you called a funeral home, you actually called the funeral home. And somebody's funeral home answered, and the guy that answered the phone was a guy staying in a dorm upstairs. He'd go make the removal at night.
That's old school stuff.
Yeah. And now it's you call an answering service up in New Hampshire, and they call a removal service to do the removal. And then the removal service takes it to your central prep room, not using your funeral home, but using your prep room or the embalming service.
And all that stuff's 24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours. And people don't realize
and it's a system.
Yeah,
it's like a well-oiled machine.
Oh, yeah.
It works.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Yes.
I mean, that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, those are removals.
You're not waiting on Gus to wake up and come stumbling down.
Yeah. In old days, the prep room guys smoking a cigarette, and ashes are on the body while he's embalming. And
nobody does that now.
No, maybe vape, but not.
They're vaping.
Yeah, new world. But it's just, yeah.
It's a millennial thing right there.
Yeah. But people think, well, oh, you call it the funeral home and the body's going to the funeral home. Usually 90% of the time it's going to a prep room somewhere. You think it's at
Just
the
a warehouse.
Home. Yeah. It's not really at the funeral home until the day.
What does this warehouse look like?
It's just a big warehouse, and it's got a refrigerator. Holds it's just like racks. They have the machine that almost like a forklift, but it's kind of like a forklift. They lift it up and they put the bodies in the racks.
Yeah.
Bring it down. There's like 100 bodies in there, refrigerator. And they have this, they put them in cardboard boxes and they're just numbers like B3, 7, A4. And they put them when you bring the body, you got to put I put this body in B3 shelf or D16 shelf. So when you go back, you can find the body.
You sunk my battleship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you don't realize you're in there with 100, it's kind of eerie. Even now you walk in big fridge and see 100 bodies all, with smoke, the refrigerator smoke, coming in. And
oh man,
it's an eerie.
And then there's like a prep table outside.
Yeah, a couple prep tables separately.
And then people are just embalming.
Yeah, just embalming, yeah.
What's the mood in there like? Is it morbid? I mean, but it's a workplace. These guys are here every day.
Yeah.
They're talking about their vacations.
Yeah.
And,
you always have, most people are. You always got the creepy embalmer guy, kind of like the lurchy guy that doesn't talk to anybody. But then you got everybody else is joking around, like, hey, the Cowboys last, talking about the football game, or
yeah.
You don't really. I always, like I said,
don't talk about the Cowboys down in Florida.
No.
Don't do that.
But how's Dolphins? How's Brady? But you're talking, it's like the people are just like donuts. You don't really think about bodies anymore. You've been around it your whole life. It's like that's just a donut. That's not even a person. It's just like whatever. You don't really think about it. You don't go home and think about people think, oh, I can't deal with it. I don't go home ever at night and think. Once I go get in my car and drive home, I don't think one thing about death. I just it's just that was my job, and what I'm saying, you don't sit there and night. Oh my God, this, and kids dying and babies dying. You see everything.
Yeah,
those are hard. Baby funerals and kid funerals. You can't. You mean in your whole life and not get over. I don't have any kids, but you just can't get over 12-year-old kid getting hit by a car. Like the hit and run that happened in Venice like a year ago. We had that funeral, and the guy, you can't ever get over that. It's hard to get over stuff like that.
Well, it's an important job to do.
Yeah,
somebody's got to do that.
Yeah, I remember the one with the girl that got hit in Venice by the hit and run. She's wearing a backpack. And in the casket, they had a closed casket, but the backpack she's wearing all tore up, and the mom put the backpack on top of the casket, just to I don't know, it's kind of weird, it was tore up and just to symbolize that tragedy happened, I guess.
People grieve in different ways.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What are some of the maybe kind of odd ways you've seen people grieve? Because not only are you doing all the prep and all that kind of stuff, but you're also there at the visitations and through the funerals, you're involved in that whole.
Yeah. A lot of times,
what do you see that's unusual or that maybe people wouldn't understand?
One thing I see a lot at funerals is people that get together that hate, say your mom dies, you hate, and your brother, you hate your brother, and you haven't seen your brother in 20 years. And there's always a lot of drama at funerals because people have to show up at funerals and and I've seen fights and this bad vibes between families and mama promised, and a lot of people fighting over rings and stuff because mama promised this ring to 5 people. I've seen fist fights at funerals. I've seen people, drunk, they deal with it with Xanax and wine. People deal with it different ways. Just totally sloshed out at a funeral.
What about some good reconciliation? Have you seen that? Or maybe you're not paying attention to the interpersonal stuff so much.
I'm trying not to really. But one thing I've always thought of, this is kind of, if say my dad, he's still alive. Me and my dad don't get along very well. And every time I'm at a funeral and somebody dies, it's like, oh, this guy was a great person. This guy was so great. I've never seen a funeral. I've been to thousands of funerals in my life. And I'd say my dad's an asshole. I've never seen a funeral be like, my dad laying in the casket, he was a fucking asshole. You never have people say how they really feel about people because not everybody's, me in my life, 80% of people are good and 20% are bad. But so, I don't know, I guess everybody when they die is always, oh, this is a great person. And, what I'm saying, I mean, Charles Manson, oh, he's a great person. I don't know. It's just you never see anybody talk bad about somebody at a funeral,
I've seen it, strangely enough.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like a kind of like a weird therapy session.
Yeah.
It was like a big shit talk. And it was just uncomfortable. I was like, oh man, this is weird. I got to get out of here. But at the same time, probably healthy in some way.
Yeah.
Because you get to kind of leave your issues right there.
Yeah, exactly.
And get it off your chest instead of just carrying it around.
Yeah.
I've always heard somebody told me once during some controversial things at a funeral I was part of, that funerals are for the living.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's there for. It's there to help us.
Yeah,
the person who died is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever realm they're in, wherever they are, wherever they go, they're not worried about any of this.
No.
This is, maybe they zapped off to heaven or wherever they ended up going, and this doesn't concern them.
Yeah.
This is silly.
Yeah, exactly.
You're dead now. You've moved on.
Yes.
And it's to help the people that are here to kind of heal, I guess, and get some closure. What are some insights you've had working in this industry? Have you had any kind of revelations or thoughts about death or thoughts about life? Does it make you appreciate life?
Yeah,
more?
it makes you appreciate being around the film business. One thing does make, I can't speak for everybody, but me, I appreciate life like every day you live. I'm not a religious person at all, but I do appreciate, every December I travel out of the country. I bike race. I do comedy. I always do. I want to, you sit at home,
you're living.
Yeah, you're living, because people, you go to old folks' homes, you see people laying in beds, and you're like, I mean, one thing I have done is look at people in caskets when they're there, and has this person do they do everything they want to do in their life?
You think that?
Yeah, I really do. I think did they want, me, when I die, if I die today, I've done 95%. I've seen all the traveling I've done, stuff I've done.
Hit your bucket list.
Yeah, I hit my bucket list. But I was like, if you want to fuck a midget, did he fuck a midget? You know what I mean? I'm saying everything. You know what I mean? But you always wonder.
Did you fuck a midget?
No, I want to, Bill. But
if there's any midgets out there, email team@theredactedpodcast.com.
Yeah. But it's really do think about it. People to live, some people when I live in Texas, some people only went to 3 states their whole life. They went to Oklahoma, Arkansas, and you know what I mean? They didn't see anything in their life. They didn't really experience much. They just lived in Bastrop, Texas, in his trailer home and had 3 kids, and and it's
never left.
Yeah, they might have been happy, but to me that'd be that's death for me. I mean, just I do think about the people. A lot of
so you get to see that end cycle.
Yeah.
So it's but does it ever? I feel like for me, because once again, most of us don't think about this on our daily basis. Does it ever it nags at you? You know what I mean? I mean, to think you're seeing this. This is the end for this guy. And you're thinking that, is it almost like a ticking clock that you can sometimes hear, I'm working in death, this will be me.
Yes.
You're embalming a body, burying, putting it, transporting it. I'm working in death, this could be me. Tick, 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 tick. I just feel like I do that
some, I think about also
I didn't mean to creep you out or make you think about it too much.
That just makes sense though. But you do think about that a lot. Yeah. And a lot of, one thing I see, another thing, if you know, is somebody's 95 years old and the people, I could have did more. The guy's 95. He lived a good life. You know what I mean? But people always think they could have did one more thing. But if you live past, me personally, if you live past 77, that's 77.
77.
I don't know why that, if you live 77 or above, that's, that you lived a life. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't cry about them passing, because it might have been a boring life, but they lived, they lived through at least see people all the time that die of 55 years old, die of skin cancer, all kinds of stuff, pancreas. I mean,
anything can happen.
People understand that, and one thing also, people I see at funeral homes, I do tell people, we see what 99% of the world doesn't see every day. I mean, people are at cubicles, at Dell computers and old cubicles on the computer. They don't see, they don't see this. It's just, you kind of just forget about that. You're just this is what I'm doing every day for work.
Mm-hmm.
You realize there's some guy, Joe, at Microsoft that's all
Yeah.
you do. I don't know.
He's focused on that.
Yeah.
That's his job.
Yeah.
And you're in yours, which is, I think, to a lot of people, kind of a slap in the face of reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I would, if I had to work in that kind of industry, that would really kind of echo.
But I think most
to me, but maybe in a positive way.
Yeah.
Because that's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I think most funeral people just think they're immortal. They see it, but they think they're immortal.
Yeah.
I have like a motorcycle. I never ride with a helmet on.
You do?
I don't wear a helmet when I ride.
You're going to have a closed casket.
Yeah, a closed organ donor, but
they're going to scoop you up.
Yeah. You just think I don't know. It's just like you take care of the dead and you'll never die. I don't know. It's just, most people don't think about it too much.
No use, right?
Yeah, no use.
Yeah.
It's time to go, I think.
So did you ever, and this is kind of a weird question, but it kind of struck me in something you said earlier. Most people don't like to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't.
Yeah.
The macabre, the morbid, the other side, the darkness. Most people don't. Some people love it. Have you ever been out at a bar and you're like, yeah, a funeral home director, I'm an undertaker, and some girl's like, oh
yes, yeah. Some people are in that. I mean,
they're into it.
Yeah.
There's a sect of people that, for whatever reason, is into the dark.
Yes,
and they want the grit. They want they like that.
Yeah, exactly. And usually, if you're at a bar with like 5 people hanging out, most people want to hear my stories, not their stories. You're like, oh, what'd you see this week? Kind of more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can always one up everybody, but they always want to hear your stories because death interests people, but not a guy that sells tires at Walmart. That's not interesting, So like, oh, okay. But,
well, once again, you have that 1%, or maybe it's even less of people that understand that side of the industry.
But sometimes it's kind of bad. You just want to go at the bar and relax, have a drink, and you just want to not talk about death. But the people want to, people always want to. You feel bad. Just
they know what you do.
Yeah.
So friends and such.
And just jokes. I mean, like, oh no, I don't know. Just little stupid jokes people say, the old cliche stuff.
Yeah.
Let's let you down and all that type of stuff. And people dying to get in there and shit like that. The old cliche ones you heard your whole life.
Grandpa had that one too. Pass by a cemetery, be like, good place. I'd be like, yeah. He'd be like, people die to get in there.
Yeah, exactly. But I was in mortuary school. I lived in a funeral home, and that like I was saying, that's a good way. Girls want to come back to the funeral home and check stuff out.
They just want to be creeped out.
Yeah,
they want to come there and look for ghosts.
Yeah, ask you, you're in sex in a funeral home? You're in sex in a casket? Or you're in sex in a hearse? People always want to know, like, you're in sex in a
Have you?
A funeral home, yes. A hearse, yes. Not a casket. People want to ask you if you ever had sex with a dead person. I never had, but people always ask you that too. It's kind of like, no.
Ugh.
I have an old joke.
That's illegal.
Yeah, a joke.
Maybe not in Texas. I don't know.
Arkansas is fine.
Arkansas, you can have sex with a dead person.
Just get the old never mind. Well, I do a joke. I got fired from my job last week for sexual harassment of a client. The bad thing is I work at a funeral home. And I say my uncle got me in the business. He's a really bad embalmer, but a really good puppeteer.
Oh no, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's my own stuff.
You gotta laugh about some of it too.
Oh yeah, you got to laugh about it.
If you didn't laugh, you'd cry.
Yeah.
What's something you could kind of, everyone that's listening to this is going to come to this decision at some point in their lives with a loved one or even for themselves. What's a few tips or advice or kind of things to ask or look for that they could make sure they get a good value and they get the best experience? Like,
yes.
Don't buy this upgrade. That's stupid anyway. Yes. Or maybe, make sure the funeral home does this, this, or this. Mm-hmm. What are some kind of practical tips?
I probably personally, but one tip I'd probably always stick with a family-owned funeral home, not a corporation-owned funeral home.
Okay,
this is they're more personal, and corporations. There's a lot of SCI, Foundation Partners, Loman Group, North Star. So many corporations own funeral homes. Like in this town, there's only like 2 funeral homes that are family-owned. I'd go for a family-owned funeral home Because probably the body's going to be your mom or dad or loved ones going to be taken back to their funeral home, not a prep center or a embalming center.
Okay.
And they're kind of more personal touch, because it's not all about, it's more personal touch.
Is it more expensive for family?
No, it's probably, you probably get a better deal there. And I would just don't buy the, 12 gauge bronze casket. Just, just spend that. If your person dies, I think they want you to spend money on yourself, like go, celebration of life.
Take a trip.
Yeah, take a trip.
Take everyone out to dinner or something.
Because once you go in the ground, it's in the ground. Nobody knows what the casket looks like, once it's in the ground.
It's people's sentimentality gets the best of them sometimes because I think the family's kind of bent over this weird barrel of grief and, they obviously love this person.
Yeah. And flowers are a big waste of money. I mean, I know flowers are pretty, but they're so expensive and they just last like 2 or 3 days. And it's like such a waste of money.
That's a weird one.
Because the casket sprays are like $500 and.
Well, you can see $2,000 worth of flowers.
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, I think about all the time, like the big Italian funerals I've been to in the East Coast, like, look like John Gotti died. There's like thousands of dollars of flowers and flower shops. That's a scam in itself, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much money. Oh my God. We used to get paid, actually bird dog fee commission. If I'm called and say, I'm from Louisiana and I need to order some flowers. Can you recommend somebody? And if we recommended a certain funeral home and they ordered from us, they give us kickbacks on it. So I used to make extra money just on the kickbacks from the flower homes, flower shops. A lot of stuff like that goes on.
So don't waste money on flowers. Go with a family-owned funeral home. That would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other?
Don't get a limousine.
Just drive yourself.
Yeah, drive yourself. I mean, that's about it, really. Ask the family if they're family owned. Ask them where your loved one's actually going tonight. Like, where is she actually going? Like, really press them on that. They can't really lie about it. I guess they can, but I think stuff like that. I mean, that's the main thing. I think
it's good. Well, thank you for sharing your stories with us.
Okay,
we appreciated you having it. It's enlightening.
Yes,
it's interesting stuff. And it's cool of you to come on and share all that. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to the listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you in church. The Redacted Podcast is produced by myself, Matt Bender, and my wife, Pamela Bender. Make sure to go out there and give us a like, a share it with your friends, rate us. Every little bit helps. Thanks for tuning in.